Oh my
Mics
gosh.
are hot. Mics are hot. Mics are hot. It is Orange and Blue today, presented by Champ Honda, Cecil Lammy, Andrew Mason, and let's get into it today because it's a Tuesday. Everyone thinking Nuggets, which I get, man. Ring ceremony. They're raising the banner, Mace. The banner that you want.
You mean unlike the Indianapolis Colts AFC finalist banner for 2014?
Right.
Yeah, you know what? Those are okay in college, right? I mean,
For sure.
if like for example, if you're San Diego State men's basketball, you'd never made the national championship game before last April. It's okay to hang a banner that says finalist if you're talking about San Diego State basketball. Okay, but if you're in the NFL, there are only 32 teams. There are 351 Division I men's basketball teams, and there are 32 NFL teams. So being a finalist doesn't have the same, to use the Vic Fangio parlance, oomph.
We're
as
looking for
Vic used to say.
Yes.
Because the Broncos need some oomph.
They do need some oomph, and we're looking for that. We're going to be talking about that, and then feverishly getting to our TVs to watch the Nuggets game. But okay.
Wait, am I the only one here who's going to be watching baseball tonight?
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm watching Game 7 of.
I will
Phillies
be rooting
D-backs
for the Phillies just because of James Palmer. I know that kind of goes against you, but.
Okay, here's the thing. Philadelphia won a World Series in 2008. They went to the World Series last year. The Texas Rangers have never won a World Series. They're going back for the first time in 12 years. The Arizona Diamondbacks have not been to a World Series in 22 years. So I should think you'd be rooting for the team that has gone the longest. And oh, by the way, has a lower payroll. Like Philadelphia, of course they're supposed to be there. Their payroll is $245 million. The Diamondbacks are just over $100 million, right? I mean, come on.
Unless I'm on the payroll, I ain't rooting for the D-backs. So there you go. That's my hot baseball opinion. I just root because James Palmer likes him. That's my baseball opinions. So take it for what you want.
You didn't root for Atlanta because I liked them.
I didn't really know what was going on then. So unless it interrupts my schedule.
Like it's any secret that I follow the Braves. Come on.
I know. But it's unless it interrupts my schedule, I don't really even know what. When it interrupted Denver Sports Tonight, I was like, is it the CS now? The DS? What is it?
It's the CS, and then it'll be the WS, as in World Series, starting on Friday.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We shall see who's in that after Game 7 tonight. And, of course, the Denver Broncos, we're going to be waiting.
What was that, by the way?
My cap. I flipped up my bottle cap here. So we're going off the rails to begin this show, but that's okay. Yeah. It's been a day, Mace. It's been a day, but we're here to make it a day with you on Orange and Blue today, presented by Champ Honda and Foster. I always do that. Damn it. Fabian Moreau, who came onto the field. And, we had gotten clues last week that there would be changes to the defensive secondary that included more of Moreau. And Mace, we really didn't get to talk about him yesterday. Do we know Moreau? Yes, we do.
Well, if it's more EAU is French for water, so it's more water, more
water. That's good. You got to be like water. Isn't that Bruce Lee?
Well, you want him to cover the earth like water, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They used to say 3/4 of the earth is covered by water, the rest is covered by Champ Bailey back in the day.
I thought it was Deion Sanders that first did that. He said the water covers 75% of the planet. I cover the rest.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I think of it with
Champ.
I think of it with Champ.
Okay, well, if I'm a fanboy of anybody, I am a diehard Deion fanboy. So, all the people that don't like him, I'm just like, whatever. That's fine. That's fine. I love him. I celebrate his entire rap catalog, which is awful. But
what catalog? Was there something beyond must be album. The money?
Well, there's Say Hi to the Bad Guy. There's Papa San, right? Again, he's got some hits.
Hits?
How are you, Mace? How are you?
I'm great. I'm in good
Good.
spirits.
Good.
Hey,
How is
it's Tuesday. You know, it's
right?
I've been working from home today. Enjoyed it. Had some enjoyable conversations today.
Nice.
Yeah, got my day off started with a really nice conversation as well. So
Okay.
it's a good day.
Good. Well, let's continue the good conversations and talk about Fabian Moreau and really our thoughts overall on him, what his teammates thought as well. But this was a change for the better, Mace, one the Broncos had been looking for in their secondary.
Yeah, and they gave Damari Mathis 6 games. I'm sure there were some who say, okay, probably shouldn't have lasted that long. But when you have a young player, you want to give that player time to see if they can figure it out. And with Damari Mathis, he was getting a bit better, but at the same time, when you're playing opposite Pat Surtain, they're going to throw at you constantly. You're going to be under pressure. And that's where maybe a veteran like Fabian Moreau probably fit the bill. Now, Moreau struggled last year with Atlanta. And I think we're going to see teams pick at him. And I think a better quarterback, like the best quarterback on the planet who's going to be coming in here to Denver on Sunday when the Kansas City Chiefs visit, may try to go at Moreau and have more success. Bad pun, sorry. But he did stabilize that position, and that was really actually, I'd say, one of the better games that Moreau has had in the last 3 or 4 years. I think the question that is worth asking, though, is they're playing Moreau. They drafted Riley Moss. Riley Moss, 3rd-round pick, inactive on Sunday. Is Moreau keeping the seat warm until the Broncos feel Moss, who missed all of training camp and did miss some time in OTAs, is Moreau keeping the seat warm for an interregnum as Moss gets up to speed?
I believe that would be the case, Mason. And you brought it up with him facing better quarterbacks. He will be picked on. This was a good game against a bad and young quarterback, inexperienced quarterback. I fully expect Pat Mahomes to torch him, to light him up. So we can feel good about what Fabian Moreau did in this contest. Hope it continues with the veteran. But at the end of the day, I want to see Moss sometime, whenever that time is, to break the seal on those rookies, whether it's Jael Skinner or Riley Moss or Thomas Nkoum. They've got a list, Mace, and I can't wait to get to that, but it might be a couple more losses before we get there.
Alex Forsyth too, and he's a guy that's consistently inactive, although there's probably not as logical a spot for him right now because of how the offensive line is looking. I mean, I guess the question is, do you want to give Forsyth an evaluation as you come to a decision on White Cushenberry with his contract expiring at center? That would be the one thing that comes into play if you say, okay, is Forsyth ready to maybe push to be a starter next year, or is he looking more like a swing interior player, which means that you're talking about bringing back Cush and having him back up at both guard spots and at center. The way Cush is playing, quite frankly, I'm more inclined to ride with him and try to get him re-signed, even though you're facing a cap crunch.
David says, who uses the word interregnum on a sports show? Mr. Erudite Mason.
Oh, gosh.
Well, when you use that word, I have no idea what it means, so I just nod my head. Yep. Interregnum.
Okay. You know where it comes from? It's commonly referred to as a time between popes in the Catholic Church. Like when one pope dies or abdicates, and then the College of Cardinals gather, and you wait for the white smoke to come up to say that they've chosen a new pope. Until they've chosen a new pope, there's an interregnum. That's where the term usually is. So basically, it's like a space between eras, right?
Okay.
And very much, if you have a player who is just kind of keeping the seat warm until a younger player that you want to be there long term develops, then there you go.
Then it fits. It fits. So we will continue on. A lot of people in the chat room are wondering when the damn trades are going to start. It's after Kansas City. They're going to put it all on the line for Kansas City. This is their Super Bowl. Sean Payton said he'd be pissed if they don't make the playoffs. Well, he's going to be pissed with his bad sushi or whatever. But if he wants to treat this like a playoff game, Mace, this is the time. This is the game to get up, get out, get everything out of your players for this game. Because if you beat the Chiefs, it changes how we view this season. Now those close losses, which we make fun of Russell Wilson for being Mr. Positive, like now you beat the Chiefs and you beat the Packers, you got 2 in a row, and you beat the Bears and you had a couple close. I mean, it changes everything if you can win one game.
Yeah, especially against that team, because if you beat the Chiefs, then legitimately you can go in and say, okay, well, if things break right, we can beat anybody, right? If you can take out a team that's the defending champion that has beaten you 16 times in a row. I mean, shoot, I would even go a step further to say that if you win this game against Kansas City, no matter what happens in the last 9 games of the season, even if you end up with 7 or 8 wins and fall short of the playoffs, if you do that, then you've got something you can hang your hat on. Like if you're 7-10, but one of the 7 wins is against Kansas City, and then you're saying, well, we started 1-5, but then after that we were 6-5, and one of the wins was against Kansas City. All of a sudden, you're looking at the arc of the season, you're not feeling too bad. Then it's just a question of, did Russell Wilson do enough to justify being on the roster the 5th day of the next league year and having another $37 million guaranteed? That's the question.
Right. Now we have to get into the optics, which do matter, Mace, because you wonder if the Broncos barely lose to the Chiefs, will they be less inclined to sell? If they get waxed and they lose by 30, I don't want to say 50, but if they get waxed by the Chiefs, sell, whatever. But if you barely lose, and I hate that we're having this conversation.
Oh, here we go.
I hate that we're having this conversation, but if you barely lose to the Chiefs in this weird world, is that almost a keep it together type thing?
It might be, but it shouldn't be. Okay. The Broncos went 5-12 in 2020. That was, or 5-11, pardon me, because it was still a 16-game schedule. That was not a good Bronco team at all. What did they do on a Sunday night in December in Kansas City? They had a chance to win with a late drive before turning the ball over on downs, right? The team last year, 5-12, awful. Both games against Kansas City went down to the wire, right? So I would look at that and say, no, don't be fooled if it's a close loss. Because 2-6, and then you turn around on the other side of the bye, you go to Buffalo. That's probably going to be a defeat on Monday Night Football in Orchard Park, New York, where the wind's whipping around. Shoot, I mean, there's you might be dealing with lake effect snow that night for all we know, right?
You might be.
Yeah, I'd say if it's a loss, 2-6, staring at 2-7, it's trading out. I can't see, oh, we lost by 2 points, let's keep it together. No, I don't think so. Also, because you not only have the trip to Buffalo, you have a 3-game road swing in December. Now, the Chargers don't look very good. Houston is an average team, but you do have to go to Detroit. I don't think Detroit's going to have many games like they had against Baltimore on Sunday where they get smoked.
Right, and Houston's a better than some people think team with some weapons and a young quarterback that's gaining confidence. So we shall see. And the chat room saying, hey, this is almost a must win. And yeah, if you're in that locker room and you like being in that locker room and you like the guys on your team in that locker room, you had better win.
Yeah. If you want, you got to keep it together. I don't think a close loss is going to I don't think a close loss is going to make anybody say, oh, we're not going to make a trade if we get a decent offer here. Right. That's the thing. Because you know what? You had a 19-8 game against Kansas City. I mean, on the scoreboard, it was close. It didn't feel that way. But again, you had 2 close losses last year. I mean, that Bronco team came into the game against Kansas City in December. It was Kansas City, Arizona. So they had 5 games left. They had 12 games. So they had 12 games already done. That Bronco team came into the home game against the Chiefs with 8 losses in 9 games. And after falling behind, had a chance to win in the fourth quarter, right? Didn't. It was a close game in the end, didn't mean the team was close. That makes any sense.
I like what Kelly Kane says here in the chat room. The Chiefs were toying with us last game, but they decided to play with their food.
Yeah, and the failed fourth down, Mahomes getting intercepted. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The Chiefs were playing Charlie mess around in that game. And they have a tendency to do that against the Broncos because the Broncos haven't been a very good team. Yeah,
right.
They played Charlie mess around, and then the Chargers got the real Chiefs on Sunday, and you saw what happened. They're scoring touchdowns. Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes are doing a touchdown celebration. By the way, no problem with them, but Jackson Mahomes, got arrested, right? For,
he looks like a creeper standing behind Taylor Swift.
He was harassing bartenders in Kansas City, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Was Jackson Mahomes. That dude needs to just go away.
Yeah.
No
access to the press box. I don't care if you're Pat's brother.
Or not the press. It was a luxury box.
Luxury box, right?
Yeah. Like he was in the luxury suite, and so he gets it because his family. But that's a guy. Like, has he not learned anything? Just go away. Dude.
And I don't want to get too into the weeds on this, Mace, so I'll just keep it somewhat brief. When there's an accusation like that, allegedly, or whatever I have to say, it's probably not the only time. Okay,
I see the blinking.
It was the time he was alleged with something, but that's probably not the only time he's allegedly done some of those things. So,
and this is the guy who was literally doing his stupid little dance on the sideline in Washington, where they had the memorial to the late Sean Taylor, for number 21. Right. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just wrong. That's disrespectful.
Yep.
Sorry.
All right. Changes to the secondary. PJ Locke in for Kareem Jackson. That's another change that worked. We've got the chat room asking about Drew Sanders. Like, there's a lot of, again, I feel, Mace, like we've said this before, but there's like some young playmaker. We're just waiting. And Moreau's not young. Certainly PJ Locke is, somewhat inexperienced, whatever. But it's like, there's some players on this team. I just want to see them. You're at that point. Like, when will we see Drew Sanders? We're going to see more PJ Locke. I don't want an injury to happen for us to see Drew Sanders. Would he replace Alex Singleton's been playing some bad ball, and I like Alex in the locker room.
By the way, Drew Sanders had 4 snaps on Sunday.
Right.
I believe. Right. Yeah.
So, and Alex Singleton's not playing good football.
Again, missing too many tackles right now.
Yes. And maybe Sanders is out of position, right? Because we've seen some Drew Sanders, and we've seen him look really rough. But if he's a rookie, I'm willing to work through those things. Like, would he not miss as many of those tackles as Alex Singleton is?
It's a fair question. Because Sanders is faster. Sanders covers more ground. We did see in that Miami game when he played extensively that he was missing some tackles, right? So he's got a ways to go. I think the question on Drew Sanders, though, because you're talking about Alex Singleton, the question, I think, is on Josey Jewell, because of the two, if one were to be traded before the deadline, you'd have to say probably Jewell would be the more likely candidate, right?
Yes.
He's got an expiring contract, second year of his deal. That's possible. That wouldn't surprise me if that happened. There have been reported rumblings of trades on the defensive side. Someone like Jewell, who may not be in the long-term plan. Look, when they drafted Drew Sanders, you could kind of say, okay, that's probably Josey Jewell's replacement, right? Because they re-signed Alex Singleton to a 2-year deal, and they draft Drew Sanders in the offseason. But Singleton's, it wasn't a stellar game for him on Sunday, and he's got to step it up. It's just been an okay season for him. Yeah,
and we certainly recognize his game. I know there was a point last year, what was on the program or something? Oh, Alex Singleton. It's like, yeah, we know Alex Singleton. We know who he is, and it's fine. But could Drew Sanders be better? That's my question. Because if you fall into that trap, like Damari Mathis is, he's struggling, but he's okay. He's fine. Well, Moreau is better in this game, and it helped him win. I still don't think Kareem Jackson makes that pick that PJ Locke does. So we love Kareem, but PJ Locke was better. So if you have an option that could be better at this point of the year, I'd like to see it. Against the Chiefs, we'll see what kind of game plan they can put together. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at them, at least defensively. I'm not sure offensively we'll see these changes that everyone wants before this game.
The change everyone wants is to see more of Marvin Mims Jr., right?
Yes.
And he ranked 5th among Broncos receivers in snaps. Although if Lil Jordan Humphrey is going to play in this game, they're going to have to put him on the 53 because they're out of practice squad elevations and he's back on the practice squad. And also, Jaleel McLaughlin, very productive, right? Played 10 snaps. He was targeted or touched the football on 7 of his 10 snaps, which certainly tells you how much they want to emphasize him, but it's also a tell if Jaleel's in there and 70% of the time he's the one getting the ball.
He's getting the ball.
Yes. You think Andy Reid and the Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo, the defense coordinator, you think they don't realize that when they're working up their game plan this week?
Yeah. And we saw with Jaleel, it was a couple of games ago. Hell, it was against the Chiefs, Mace. He's not going to push the pile. We know that. We appreciate the young man. We appreciate his spirit and love his story. But like, if you have Jaleel McLaughlin in, guys are just going to be physical with him and he's not going to respond as well. Like, hopefully he stays healthy and he's going to be feisty, but he's going to, if you hit him, he's going to knock backwards. Like, that's just the way it goes. And Kansas City, especially Spagnuolo running the show, like, they bring a physicality to the field defensively.
Exactly. More physicality than they brought in some time. That's another thing with this Chiefs defense. It's playing at a high level. There's a reason why the Broncos came within just a few minutes of a shutout, right? Oh my gosh. Sorry, I'm reading the comment here.
Sorry, I'm reading the comment too. They're like, what underpass does Cecil live under? Well, I don't know. Maybe drive by and give me $5. Wash your window.
Does Clint Mundell in the comments not like your hair today? I will say there's not a lot of body up there right now. You look at this. I got some, I got something going on up top here, but I also cleaned it up right before I came on the show. So you're seeing kind of the peak of it. There's no product. If I were to have it linger for longer than the show, there'd have to be some product in there. This is just pure what the hairbrush and the shampoo and the conditioner all did.
There you go. See, and I've
pretty much pure Mace.
I was wearing a hat today, so a stocking hat.
Okay.
Drops below 70 and I'll put on a beanie, but not for the show.
75 tomorrow. It's gonna be nice.
Is it gonna snow Sunday?
Oh,
52% chance.
Let's talk about that in context of the game. Yes, there is a chance for snow on Sunday, the first snow of the season, right there for the Broncos Chiefs game. Look, we also know this. Snow in this series hasn't helped the Broncos. It was
hasn't hurt the Chiefs.
Yeah, snow flurries and cold in 2020 in Denver. The Chiefs romped in the COVID year. The year before, 2019, a full-on snowstorm during the game at Arrowhead Stadium. Chiefs romped there. Broncos didn't even get a touchdown, in that game. So, yeah, if it's foul weather historically in this series, it's not been good for the Broncos.
Well, that's a great sign for Kansas City. We're not doing a Chiefs show, but like you'd think that high-powered offense would be suspect when the weather conditions are poor, and they're just not. And again, it's Isaiah Pacheco. You could just run the ball all day.
Here we go.
Well,
your guy Pacheco.
Hey, guy can play. So, like, you want a big dose of that guy? They did a good job the last time stopping him. They did. What you did 2 weeks ago doesn't matter. It's a week-to-week league. You got to show up again.
Exactly. So, oh boy.
So no changes offensively for Mims. That's the thing. Like, we haven't been to practice yet. We'll be out there. You'll see it tomorrow. I'll be on air, but I'm going to be out there for locker room. Just programming note for everybody, Mace. So I will be in the locker room. You'll fill me in on what you saw at practice, and we'll hint to what we saw on the air. But it's like, they're just going to trot out the same offense. And against the Chiefs, if this really is push all your chips in on the table, right? And I'm going to sound like Jim Fossil. I can't believe he's gone, right? But I'm going to sound like him. We're going to push all your chips in. You're in, you're out, right? And push it in. Push all the chips in. Whatever Fossil said, it was glorious. But like
2000 New York Giants season, right?
It worked.
Everyone who was in gets in. They didn't lose another game till the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know who the offensive coordinator of those Giants was, by the way?
He's here in Denver.
Sean Payton. Exactly.
You're right. So does he have that to put, we're pushing our chips in on the table, like,
Mm-hmm.
but if you do that, Mace, you cannot run the same god-awful Frankenstein, caffeine's kicking in, the god-awful Frankenstein offense where you don't trust Russell Wilson. He can't run what you want him to run. Okay. He can't. It's just evident. And Sean's like a petulant child. Like, well, you can't run what I want. So here's the vanilla offense. Like, if it's the Chiefs, dude, you got to pull out all the stops.
But the thing is, weren't you glad to see the run emphasis on Sunday? I mean, they actually stuck with it. He kept saying, I've got to call it better. I've got to stick with the run, and they did. And it may not be sexy, but it's probably still the best way to have a chance to win this game is by playing a low possession game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though we'd love to see them go over the top to Marvin Mims. Now, I would still like to see that, but I think you do that in context of play action.
And if you run the ball, you're able to
simulate run, go over the top. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's designed to do, because the whole thing of play action, if I know we have some people here always watching the show who are learning about football. And so the whole point of play action is you simulate a run, defenders come and crash down, think it's a run, and then you go over the top to a vacated area to a fast receiver like Marvin Mims Jr., and that's where you can make some magic happen. Some of the Broncos' best plays historically have been that, Super Bowl 33, for example, John Elway to Rod Smith, taking advantage of a sleep-deprived safety, Eugene Robinson, because the night before he got arrested for
solicitation.
Thank you.
And the year previous with the Packers, and he was like, these guys aren't even good. These guys are the Indianapolis Colts. And they beat them too. So thank you, Eugene.
Yes.
You were wonderful.
Football. Anyway. That's your football 101 lesson for the day.
Yes. That's what you get here on Orange and Blue today, presented by Sean Ponda, Cecil Lammy, Andrew Mason. We done? I can't think of any other changes. Like, until
Mims,
the Chiefs game,
a little more McLaughlin, because I think the offensive line is fine.
But they stopped running. Like, I give them credit, they ran more, but then there could have been more. And even Sean Payton was like, I think I ran a little bit, too much a couple times. Just because it doesn't work, it doesn't mean you stop.
The whole point of running is to gradually break down a team, right? It's right. I remember Mike Shanahan telling me it was the jabs in the first quarter become the haymakers in the fourth quarter because you've worn down an opponent. Right. Of course, the funny thing is even Mike got too impatient with that, and he's probably going to be a Hall of Fame coach once they induct him here in the next couple of years, probably, right? So the emotion gets in you when you call plays. Like, what the good idea is, what the rational thought is before a game, and then you get out there and you get carried away in the moment. And Peyton's kind of acknowledged that. And it's something that happens to a lot of play callers. You lose patience, you lose discipline. So, I mean, I'm sure if I were calling plays, I'd probably fall victim to the same trap. Or maybe I wouldn't because I'm on the spectrum. Who knows?
Well, I think a lot of us would. Mace, as we wrap up super, super quick, just because I have to bring it up, based on Sean Payton's soundbite about, like, I'm going to run a little bit too much. And then we got run, pass, and pass, run. Blah, blah. Is there a little bit of paralysis by analysis going on? Because stuff's not working. And like Sean's trying to find stuff that works. And and I'm a fan of analytics. You are a fan of analytics. We're a fan of film, and we're a fan of wins. But is Sean maybe getting a little caught up here, a little paralysis by analysis type stuff?
I think so. I think you gotta to kind of trust what you can do. The thing is, when you have paralysis by analysis, one of the things that happens is you're trying to anticipate what the opponent is going to do.
Right.
And instead of saying, okay, we're going to play our game. If they adapt, then we'll have a counter move to that. Instead, you're anticipating a counter move before it happens. And sometimes that's not what you need to do. I think you should start with what works best. Right? And then if they figure it out, you adjust. In my opinion. What works best for this Broncos team?
They don't know.
Ooh, that's bad. See, I'd say when they're running the ball, it works.
It
best.
should be running the ball, but like
running the ball,
100-yard game would be nice.
Marvin Mims, and going deep Cortland Sutton as well, because that worked on Sunday against a backup cornerback, right? So, By the way, some say it's called analysis paralysis, not paralysis by analysis.
Okay. Paralysis analysis. Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, I've heard paralysis by analysis, but I have not heard it phrased the other way, analysis paralysis. But it's the same thing. But it could be one of those things where paralysis by analysis is a term you hear more in sports. And maybe analysis paralysis is something outside of sports. That's my thought. I'm gonna dig into that a little more once this show gets done.
Well, you go watch baseball. I'm gonna go watch basketball and
playoff baseball tomorrow. Against what? This is the first game of an 82 game season.
The first time the Nuggets have ever won the championship.
I get it. I want to see what the rings look like, by the way. As someone who has a major sports championship ring, my sports ball ring is for football. I'm always curious to see what those rings look like. They're getting even fancier.
Yes, now. And even larger. So there you have
it. Yeah, eventually they're going to be like double rings. Like you're going to have to put them on 2 fingers, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be so big. I mean, as it is, when I wear it, I can't type. I really can't type with it on.
Yeah, it's for show. It's not necessarily for wearing.
It's I think what was it that Michael Irvin said that he wanted a ring that when he wore it that it would and a headlight shine on it, it would blind somebody. So basically, yeah, that's the kind of ring I got.
It's a damn good ring. And it was the last time the Broncos were worth a damn.
Yeah. Yes, hopefully. David says analysis paralysis is common for analytic types. Yes, it can be. Which is why sometimes you have to remember the old phrase KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Sometimes you got to do that.
And sometimes you got to wrap it up and go watch other sports.
The other sports don't start. Well, the Nuggets are starting right now, aren't they? Or
4:45, yeah, half an hour.
Like what is up with that? I mean, I get for East Coast time, but they're seriously starting the ceremony at 4:45. That's crazy.
You're getting your rings in half an hour, everybody.
Well, that's great. I can watch the ceremony, and then I can watch
baseball.
That's exactly. Right. Yeah. See, there you go.
Anyhow. That's how we make it happen. We come together and share a moment.
A lot of shared moments around here today.
I know. We did a little Charlie mess around today. It's okay, baby. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Yeah. Wednesday, we're going to be in the locker room. We're going to be in the weeds. Mace will be at practice. I'll be there as soon as I'm off air. Like, got a lot to do. Anyway, he's Andrew Mason. I'm Cecil Lammy. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you never miss a vid. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty?